Every single time you walk into a conversation, a meeting, a family dinner, or even a casual exchange at the store after all these years, something happens before you even open your mouth to speak. A test is already underway. Most people fail these tests without ever knowing they were being tested. They've spent decades wondering why certain people treat them with subtle condescension, why their ideas get dismissed, why they end up on the defensive in situations that should have been neutral. The truth is that the moment you enter any social space, others are calibrating your status, probing your boundaries, and deciding how much respect you deserve, all in the first few seconds. If you've ever left an interaction feeling inexplicably smaller, talked over, or quietly undermined, it's almost always because you didn't spot the test. Today we're going to change that. We're going to look straight at these invisible challenges, why they happen, what they really mean, and how a lifetime of experience can teach you to pass them with quiet, unshakable composure. A test, at its core, is a psychological status calibration. It's not always malicious, though it can be. More often, it's automatic, an instinctive way for people to figure out where you fit in the invisible hierarchy of the moment. Someone throws out a subtle challenge to see how you'll respond, because your reaction reveals everything: your confidence, your emotional control, your willingness to defend your position. These probes are how the brain assesses dominance, leverage, and safety in social groups. When you pass a test, you signal that you're not easily shaken. When you fail, you signal that you can be pushed, dismissed, or placed lower. After years of navigating workplaces, families, friendships, and power dynamics, you've felt these calibrations countless times. Now, it's time to name them. Humans test each other because it's built into our biology. For hundreds of thousands of years, survival depended on knowing who was strong, who was reliable, who could be challenged without risk. Our ancestors lived in small bands where status determined access to resources, protection, and reproduction. The brain still carries that programming. Every new interaction is an opportunity to update the ranking. Testing is threat detection and opportunity scanning rolled into one. It's not personal in the way we usually think. It's ancient wiring doing its job in modern settings. Understanding this removes the sting and replaces it with clarity. The person testing you isn't necessarily out to get you. They're just doing what the human animal has always done. The forms these tests take are almost always subtle, which is why so many people miss them entirely. A teasing joke that lands just a little too close to a sore spot. An interruption that cuts you off mid-sentence. A deliberate delay in responding to your greeting or question. A shift in tone that suddenly feels condescending. An innocent comment that reframes your achievement as luck or timing rather than skill. Dismissive body language, a slight eye roll, a smirk, a turning away. These aren't accidents. They're low-cost probes designed to see how much you will tolerate before you push back. The subtlety is the point. If the test were overt, it would risk open conflict. By keeping it veiled, the tester gathers information while staying safe. Over a lifetime, you've encountered hundreds of these. Recognizing the pattern is the first step to never being caught off guard again. When you respond emotionally to a test, it almost always escalates. The moment your voice rises, your face flushes, or you rush to defend yourself, the tester receives confirmation you can be rattled. Reactivity signals low leverage. It tells them they have the power to move you, to control your emotional state. And once they know that, the tests usually intensify. What started as a gentle probe becomes bolder because they now understand the boundaries are soft. Emotional responses hand them the keys to your composure. Staying calm, on the other hand, denies them that reward. It forces them to question their own position instead. The single biggest mistake people make when tested is to over-explain, apologize unnecessarily, or try to win the tester back by being extra nice. Each of these responses is a surrender. Over-explaining turns you into a defendant justifying your existence. Apologizing when you did nothing wrong signals deference. Trying to be liked in the face of disrespect communicates that your self-respect is negotiable. These are the classic failure modes because they all seek external validation at the exact moment when internal certainty is needed most. Experience teaches us that people who respect themselves don't scramble to prove it to others. What the tester is really looking for isn't aggression or clever comebacks. They're looking for confidence, clear boundaries, and emotional control. They want to see whether you can absorb a small push without losing your center, whether you can maintain composure when the frame is challenged, whether you have the self-assurance to let small provocations pass without needing to prove anything. Confrontation often backfires because it looks like insecurity trying to look strong. Quiet certainty, on the other hand, is unmistakable. It says, "I see what you're doing, and it doesn't move me." One of the most powerful ways to pass any test is the silent pass. Calm, deliberate non-reaction. You don't laugh at the joke that stings. You don't rush to fill the awkward silence after an interruption. You don't chase the delayed response. You simply remain steady, present, and unhurried. This non-reaction is not avoidance, it's dominance. By refusing to play the game on their terms, you force them to either escalate openly, which costs them status, or back down. Most people can't handle prolonged tension without cracking. Your calm becomes the pressure they can't escape. Over the years, you've probably seen this work in the people you most admire, the ones who never seem rattled no matter what is thrown at them. Every test contains a hidden frame war. Someone is trying to define what is normal, acceptable, or weak in the interaction. The joke attempts to frame you as someone who can be teased without consequence. The interruption tries to frame you as someone whose words don't need to be heard fully. Your response either accepts their definition or rejects it. When you defend or explain, you accept the frame that you need to justify yourself. When you stay calm and redirect or simply let it hang, you redefine the frame on your terms. Winning the frame war quietly is far more powerful than winning it loudly. Knowing when to respond and when to stay silent is a skill refined by time. Respond when the test is public and repeated, when ignoring it would damage your reputation in the group, or when you have a precise, calm way to reframe without emotional charge. Stay silent when the test is one-off, when the tester is fishing for a reaction, when the environment is informal and escalation would cost more than it's worth, or when your presence alone is enough to command respect. The general rule is simple. Silence wins unless speaking clearly strengthens your position. There's a crucial difference between failing a test and deliberately ignoring one. Failing means you reacted poorly, defended, apologized, got upset. Ignoring means you chose not to engage because the test wasn't worth your energy. The first lowers your status, the second raises it. Disengagement from a low-value provocation signals that you don't need to prove yourself to everyone. It's the difference between being pushed around and choosing which battles matter. With age comes the wisdom to know the difference. When the same person tests you repeatedly, it tells you something important about your current position in their eyes. Persistent testing means they haven't fully accepted your status. There's still an open question in their mind about whether they can move you. The longer the tests continue, the more it reveals unresolved dominance issues. Consistent, calm, non-reaction usually resolves this over time. Once they realize the probes don't work, they stop. Your steady composure becomes the new normal. Testing is constant in certain environments, competitive workplaces where hierarchies are fluid, social circles where status is performed constantly, families where old patterns and resentments linger, negotiations where leverage is everything, and any group dynamic where multiple egos are present. These are the places you've spent most of your life. The tests are more frequent and more layered there because the stakes feel higher. Training yourself to spot tests early is mostly about pattern recognition and behavioral awareness. Notice when someone's tone shifts suddenly. Pay attention to interruptions that feel deliberate. Watch for jokes that target your competence or age or experience. Feel the subtle pull to explain yourself or win approval. The more you name these moments as tests, the faster you recognize them in real time. Over years, this becomes second nature. You start seeing the probe before it fully lands. Here is the final rule that ties everything together. Every test is ultimately a question about your self-respect. Your response, or your refusal to respond, teaches people exactly how much respect you demand. Pass the test with calm certainty, and they adjust upward. Fail it with reactivity or apology, and they adjust downward. This isn't about winning arguments or putting people in their place. It's about living with the quiet knowledge that your worth isn't up for negotiation. After all the years you've walked through this world, you've earned the right to stand steady when the tests come.